It is the month of December 2017, and I am back in Chiang Mai. I'm not really here for a holiday, although I'm sort of forced to be on vacation. I'm here because I have a court date, my ongoing case against the charming man you all know as Durianrider. So most of you already know that situation. Most of you already know what the situation was a couple of years ago when this controversy between myself and Durianrider began. I just want to reiterate my invitation now that while in the past Durianrider made threats of violence against me, he threatened to have me beaten up by a gang of people in the streets. He repeatedly threatened that someone would stab me if I dared to come to Chiang Mai again. He would, of course, put in the disclaimer that he wasn't going to stab me himself, but that someone would. He even at one point was stating that Angry Vegan was going to beat me up. When I met Angry Vegan, we got along just great. It was fine. Of course, most of the people who used to be his supporters, most of the people whom he used to insinuate would be members of a gang to beat me up, now no longer support him and deeply regret that they ever did. But setting that aside, I just want to say that my position back then was, as it is today, if he wanted to talk to me, if he wanted to meet me in a coffee shop, I was willing to meet him and talk to him in a coffee shop. And if he really wanted to meet and have a fist fight, here in Chiang Mai, Thailand, there are many respectable, boxing arenas. There are, gyms that have a boxing ring, or there are dedicated kind of fight clubs where you can do Western boxing or Thai kickboxing or what have you. If Durianrider wants to meet up with me and have a boxing match, I'm down. And I offered that back when we were both in Chiang Mai at the same time a couple of years ago, and I still offer that today. So I think we should do it as some kind of charity fundraiser for veganism. I'd say that if I win the boxing match, the charity I would put it towards would be illustrating and publishing my children's book, which is a children's book I wrote in Chinese, and it's been translated into English, German, Russian, Japanese, and I think a couple of other languages. And it is, as you'd guess, if you know my channel, a children's storybook that is basically a kind of slightly poetic propaganda for the vegan cause. And Durianrider can maybe pick some charity that he wants to support, and maybe if we raise some money, if he wins, then that money goes towards the charity of his choice instead. I just want to say, I am not in particularly great shape at this time. I can flex for you guys, and I could put in here a clip of a video from the past when I was lifting more weight, when I was in better shape in Kunming, of me flexing and what it looked like back then. I'm now down to only 93 kilograms. That is partly, yes, because I had a desk job as a teacher. I was basically a university professor teaching English in Yunnan, China for about a year. But to be honest with you, another aspect of life in China is just being sick all the time. I can't count the number of times I was on antibiotics within the last year. In China, you're getting foodborne illness all the time. Most recently, within the last month and a half, I had shingles for the first time in my life. First outbreak of shingles, and I had to endure that. And then right after that, I had giardia, and I had to take antibiotics for giardia. Those are serious illnesses that most people find debilitating. I didn't suffer too much. It wasn't too bad for me in terms of the pain. But sure, that really puts a dent in your workout schedule. It's well known, Durianrider's main method of working out is long-distance cycling. My main method of working out is doing push-ups. So I'm going to put in here a clip of what I mean when I say I do push-ups. My normal thing is to do 200 push-ups a day this way. Most recently, when I was at the airport, I just did, I think, about 160 of these at the airport using a fence at the airport to put my feet on. You'll see here my feet are actually higher than waist level. Obviously, depending on where I'm working out, what I can actually put my feet up on varies. And if you look at my feet while I'm doing this push-up motion, you'll see there is very, very little weight in my feet. I don't have the weight in my toes. I don't have my feet flat in that sense. It's more like my feet are outstretched, like the palm of your hand. So it's almost my entire body weight being lifted with each push-up. And I try to do 200 of these a day. But lately, since I had shingles and had giardia, since I've been bouncing back from that illness, I have not been in very good shape. So I'm not in fighting form. If Durianrider wants to fight and wants to win, this is a pretty good time because I'm really not in great condition right now. With that having been said, if you look at the stats, Durianrider has lied a lot about the stats, and I think he did that because he was afraid that people would call him a coward because he tried to start a fight with me and then he ran. Durianrider is about 1 year older than me. So we're really about the same age. He's maybe 1 inch shorter than me, but maybe less than that. I don't know his exact height. I don't know his exact weight. Many people have told me, including his ex-girlfriend, that he lies about his weight, but he lies saying that he's lighter than he really is. As I say, I'm right now 93 kilograms and not in particularly great shape. Obviously, we're both on a vegan diet, but I really do assume, I mean, he's on permanent vacation. He hasn't been working a desk job. And, he has, by his own account, been using performance-enhancing drugs. He's talked about that fairly openly. And other people in his life have also talked about that. But I'd assume, too, that just because he does so much long-distance cycling, he probably has very good endurance. So if it's a long fight, if it's a fight that goes on, it's hot here in Chiang Mai. If it's a fight that lasts for quite a long time in the tropical heat of Chiang Mai, I could imagine him really having a big advantage in terms of endurance. So by no means would it be a one-sided or unfair fight in my advantage. And in the past, he has talked about me as if that were the case. He said that I was 6'5", 300 pounds, like 6'8", 300 pounds. He said these things about me. It's true that I am normally around 200 pounds, but nowhere near 300, never have been. And as I say, I'm not really that much taller than him. So, look, I think you guys can tell there's no anger in my voice, there's no frustration in my voice, but this is a guy who defamed me, who, really seriously slandered me on the internet, who really carried on a campaign to try to turn the whole world against me, and instead it ended up destroying his credibility. I really think in many ways his career, certainly as a leader and activist in the vegan movement, is already over. So in that sense, I've won. But reciprocally, I mean, I just responded to his threats of violence in the past by saying, well, see me when you see me. If you want to meet up, we can meet up. If you want to meet at a karaoke bar, we can meet at a karaoke bar. If you want to meet at a coffee shop, we can meet at a coffee shop. And if you want to meet in a boxing ring, we can make that happen. In the past, I've talked to other people about having a charity boxing match for veganism. I've talked to Jason Pizzino about that. I've talked to Vegan Gains about that. I really doubt I could win a boxing match against Vegan Gains, but I might be losing for a good cause. We're coming up on Christmas here in Thailand. I don't know if Durianrider celebrates Christmas. I've never seen any reference to it on his channel. I don't really watch his videos, so maybe he's done some videos talking about Christmas. But we could do the boxing match on the 23rd, 24th, or 25th. We could have something like a Christmas Day boxing match. If you guys ask me, I can't remember anyone asking me if I'd be willing to do like a square dance, i.e. not in a formal boxing ring, but just have a street fight, have a fist fight out in the street in public or something. My answer to that is a very definite no, because, Durianrider is a police informant. Durianrider is a snitch. Durianrider is someone who runs to the cops and who tells lies to the cops again and again at any excuse. There have been many examples of this, including situations that involve violence, where he lied about fistfights. I've seen several examples of that. Some of them involving people I know, some of them people I don't really know, like Anthony Culpo. And even when he had this dispute with his ex-girlfriend, this teenage girl, I forget her name at the moment, honestly. But, and there was a dispute about his laptop and about her bicycle and this kind of thing. He ran to the cops and he lied to the cops then too. So when you're dealing with someone who's untrustworthy in that way, there's no way you can meet up with them outside of a formal boxing arena. One little anecdote about that springs to mind, by the way. There was a time when I got a whole bunch of anti-Semitic comments on my channel. My girlfriend may not remember this. I had comments open on my channel at that time. They're closed now. But I remember there were a bunch of anti-Semitic comments on the channel. I let them go for a while because they were people who supported Corey McCarthy. Because I criticized Corey McCarthy for his racism. I did a couple different videos criticizing vegans who were neo-Nazis or far-right-wing or racist. A few different people, not just Corey McCarthy. So as a result, I got kind of angry comments from anti-Semitic people. And so I let them go for a while, and I thought, okay, I should go delete those comments. So I went to in YouTube, you can search the comments by search term. And I searched for the word Jew. And the first comment that came up wasn't one of the anti-Semitic comments. It was actually a comment from a Durianrider supporter who had just then lost faith in Durianrider. And it was a really interesting comment to read because the guy said, Durianrider, I've lost all respect for you. And he said, this Jew is old school, referring to me as this Jew. He said, the minute this guy offered to meet up with you, the minute this guy just stood up to your threats of violence, said, okay, this is what it has to be, you backed down, you started lying, you started backpedaling, the guy just laid out what happened. So it's funny, as much as Durianrider liked to pose as a tough guy and wanted to present himself as somebody who rolled with a gang of really tough guys, like Joey Carbstrong or something. Joey Carbstrong, I guess Abdullah Zainab or something. Those guys aren't such tough guys, but none of them support him anymore. And even within his viewer base, even within his own fan base, I remember this was just funny. It's stuck in my mind. This Jew is old school. It's like, well, I always say as one of my taglines, I'm not a nice guy. But the weird thing is, within the vegan movement, when I compare myself to people like Gary Francione, I was just joking about that the other day with Mod Vegan. It's like, you know what? It's ironic, but compared to Gary Francione, I am a nice guy, Compared to Gary Yourofsky, I am a nice guy. But I keep telling you guys, I'm not a nice guy. And likewise, I'm not a tough guy. I'm really not. But when I compare myself to somebody like Durianrider, I got to say, well, I'm not a tough guy, but I'm tougher than these guys.
À-Bas-Le-Ciel. À-Bas-Le-Ciel.